The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2021 Century Tournament of Champions. First look, research, and some announcements about this golf season. First of all, I want you to smash the like button for the video and give me your very early lean as a winner for the Century Tournament of Champions in the comment section. Help out the algorithm, get us boosted up as golf season has returned. I've already released a one and done strategy session up on Mayo Media Network's YouTube page. If you're listening to the audio podcast, it's the second part of this audio podcast, so just stay tuned towards the end of that. But I think you should all play in the giant one and done this year, fantasygolfchampionships.com. You can find the link in the description. It's $100 to play, 5 max entry. It's already 65% full, so if you want your spot, you might want to go get it right now, but I do have a few giveaways, and I'll be trying to give those out probably Thursday once Tournament of Champions actually starts. So 2 ways to enter the giveaway, and you can enter both ways if you want to double your chances of getting one of the free $100 entries. Way number 1, subscribe to Mayo Media Network on YouTube. That easy. If you just have a Gmail account, you can sub to Mayo Media Network on YouTube. We're trying to get the numbers as high as possible. So help us out here so we can continue to do as many of these shows as possible. So sub to the YouTube channel, and on social media, if you see one of the one and done tweets, or the show for this show tweet, or the Monday show with Jeff tweets, or the DraftKings show on Tuesday, you see that tweeted out by me, just give it a simple retweet, and then just respond to me with just say, hey, I did it, and then boom, you're in the draw. So I'll pick one person from that. Also, with a combined of, if you're listening to the audio version, or even if you don't listen to the audio version, just go to Apple Podcasts, rate the Pat Mayo Experience 5 stars, say something nice about the show, and you're in that draw. Leave your email address too, or your Twitter handle. That way I can identify you if you actually end up winning. If you've previously subscribed to Mayo Media Network on YouTube or left an audio review, go leave your audio review again, because it just goes right to the top if you go do that. So, it takes like, I guess if you actually write something, you click 5 stars after you scroll down on your iPhone, and then leave your Twitter handle or email address, plus, hey, I think everyone should listen to this show. It's good stuff, something like that. Probably takes like 24 seconds, and you have a chance to win $100. Why not do it? And if you've previously subscribed to the YouTube channel, you're in that draw already. Just let me know that you have done it along when you retweet the stuff on social media. All right? That's simple. Also, you want to get ahead of the game, get the leg up on the competition. If you're betting, if you're playing on DraftKings, or you're just playing in the one and done, fantasynational.com. You're going to see me walk through my research process on fantasynational.com today. fantasynational.com/Mayo. Get you 20% off, either for the week, for the month, for the year, whatever you want to go into. If you get the weekly, it's $8 per week. You're probably going to spend more than that on golf every single week, if you're serious about it. I mean, if you want to generate your lineup super quickly, boom. You want to use the simulator, boom. It's all, no matter what membership level that you're in at fantasynational.com, you get the same as everyone. So fantasynational.com/Mayo. The annual is the best bang for your buck. Highly suggest you go check that out. Let's talk Tournament of Champions. It's in Hawaii, so some prime time golf on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It might even still be on after the football games are over. Like I said, Monday and Tuesday, betting show and DraftKings pick show. The live chat will return on Wednesdays at some point during the season, likely after football season ends. But we have a ton of stuff coming out for you. And at dkplaybook.com, you can always find my article. My pivot plays for DraftKings tournaments will be up on ftndaily.com, free for everyone. So everyone go over there and check that out. I'll have stuff in Golf Digest this year. I'm everywhere you want to be for this golf season. But Tournament of Champions itself, it's a par 73 at Kapalua, same as it always is, 7,596 yards. The big difference for 2021 is the amount of players in this field. Because of the COVID restrictions, they actually opened it up this year. So it's everyone who won on tour last year. You win, you get in. That's how it normally works. But this season, they have extended the field to anyone who played in the Tour Championship. So if you were one of the top 30 players at the end of the FedEx Cup, you've actually qualified. You're wondering, how is Tony Finau in this field? He never wins. Well, he made it to the Tour Championship and actually had quite a nice season. So he's actually here this time around. So the 42 players is the largest this field is ever going to be. It has 6 of the top 7 players in the world. The only 2 real notables that are taking a hard pass this week are Rory McIlroy and Tyrrell Hatton. Right now in the very early Fantasy National field, they're both in it right now. Once it gets updated for the betting odds on Monday morning and the DraftKings salaries and everything else on Monday afternoon, those guys will not be in it anymore. We don't have the actual opening odds yet. I've been refreshing because we know what the field is. Give us the odds, all right? Give us the fucking odds. But if you want to bet on DraftKingsSportsbook.com, as always, people. But Jeff and I are going to hammer those home on Monday's show. If you want to get the full scope of the betting odds, past champions at this course, Justin Thomas won in a 3-way playoff with Xander Schauffele and Patrick Reed a year ago at -14. The wind was up. Always have to be very cognizant of the wind on a coastal course like Kapalua. There's a lot of weird elevation changes. You're never going to have a flat lie on this course. I'd say the comp would be Augusta and TPC Deer Run, actually, in terms of the type of players that can do really well here. But that's just based on the lies. In terms of actual proximity odds, once you go and look at it, a lot of really good wedge players end up winning at Kapalua. So that's the one crossover with Deer Run. The problem is a lot of the guys that play in this tournament aren't playing at TPC Deer Run in the John Deere Classic, but they do play at Augusta. So you've seen a lot of good crossover between those places. But JT won last year at -14, Xander -23 the year before, DJ -24 the year before that, JT -22, Spieth -30, Patrick Reed -21. So you got to be able to make your putts, hit your wedges, stick something close. One of my favorite shots of all time came at this course when DJ almost had the hole-in-one on the par 4. But sometimes if the wind's at your back, you can carry everything here. And because of the being played at elevation and with the elevation swings, you're going to see, and the fairways are so wide here, so don't even worry about accuracy. People are going to, if you miss the fairway at this course, you're bad. So, or you're getting a bit too aggressive. So, but off the tee is going to come in handy a lot here, especially the longer drivers. You want to pair up the longer drivers with excellent wedge games. That's the best way to play it this week. And it's just the names I rattled off to you. Good players end up winning here. You very rarely see a first timer end up hoisting a trophy at Kapalua. That might change this year because the field has been expanded a little bit. The field is a lot stronger than we normally get because you have your Finaus, your Schefflers, guys that normally wouldn't be in this tournament because they didn't win the year before, but are here now. So it's not just, Jim Herman's also not playing. He tested positive for COVID-19, but it's that type of player. You're going to see Michael Thompson at this tournament. You're going to see Stuart Sink. Who else is just randomly in this? Cameron Smith did win last year. So did Nick Taylor. Totally forgot about that. Brendan Todd didn't get a win in the calendar year because he played in last year's event, but he finished inside the top 30 and went to the FedEx Cup, so he's back this season. Streb is playing this time around. Mackenzie Hughes, despite not winning, is in this tournament as well. So there's just a bunch of different people that you can go to from that regard if the back end of the field is not great, although it's going to help us out on DraftKings. Instead of having 27 people in the field, there's 42 people in the field. It's like a jankier version of a WGC, for example. By the way, that one and done starts next week at the Sony Open. So you should get in it right now because it might be full by the time you get around to it. But it starts January 14th at the Sony Open. We throw this one out to give people time, give it gestate a little bit so more people can get in. There's $300,000 of guaranteed money, $30K to first prize too, by the way. Again, you want to be using fantasynational.com/Mayo in order to do this. So let's jump over to fantasynational.com. Right now, you can see the TOC field. You can go back and look through time if you want to, all the way back to 2014. The stats now, weighted stats, because of our partnership at Fantasy National with the PGA Tour and ShotLink, go all the way back to the early 2000s if you really want to go dig in. But let's just kind of do everything right off the hop here. We can go to past course conditions and the course breakdown. So for the course itself, we're looking at, easy scoring, Bermuda greens. It was very firm last year, but a lot of that had to do with the wind. It got dried out. You can see 2 windy AF rounds. It means it was above 17 miles per hour. There's barely any rough. The greens are super slow and hitting the fairway super easy. Generally, you're looking at easy to hit fairways, medium firmness on the green, and still very slow at the same time. Everyone is guaranteed to get their 4 rounds. There is no cut at this event, so you're going to get a ton of DraftKings scoring along the way. And for the actual breakdown of the course, again, it's a par 73. So when we go to the rankings, you can see par 5, par 5, par 5, par 5. And there's only 1, 2, 3 par 3s on the course. So a lot of par 4s when you get down to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 measure between 300 and 400 yards. Again, proximity from like 100 to 125. You'll see either guys go attack that green or lay up a little bit, but 125, 120 to 125 is where you're going to see a lot of it. Strokes gained approach and strokes gained putting, but off the tee really comes into factor as well. When you're dealing with scores that get down to like minus 30, minus 21, when you're regularly in that time frame, around the green is going to matter a whole lot less because you need to be hitting a ton of greens in regulation. The greens in regulation percentage at this course, where is it? It's almost 80%. So if you're missing greens, you're kind of fucked to begin with. So I wouldn't worry too much about around the greens. You can see the average driving distance at this course, almost 290 yards versus 282 yards at your regular event. And the average green in regulation proximity to the hole is much longer because these greens are gigantic. So even lag putting a little bit, although you'd want to have players who are a bit more dialed in with their irons. You can see just the distribution of everything. There's one par 4 that's above 500 yards, but these short par 4s are really where you're going to get most of your scoring from. If you play those well, you're going to make your birdies on your par 5s. Is there a ton of eagles at this course? I can never remember. The par 5 fifth hole generates a bunch of eagles, almost 4% eagle rate, a 58% birdie rate. And even these short par 4s, you're going to see a very high birdie rate for those as well. The par 3s are actually some of the lower birdie rate ones. So if you can just kind of push on the par 3s, beat up on the par 5s, and beat up on the short par 4s, you're well on your way. That's why you can see the Patrick Reed types of the world and the Spieth types of the world really compete when their putters and irons are on. But when you have JT and X and John Rahm and Dustin Johnson all in the field, your strokes gained off the tee and driving distance is going to play a significant factor if you're hitting your irons well that week. Well, you can see the scrambling percentage is lower at this course versus your average tour event. But that's just because there are so few scrambling situations that if you do end up scrambling at Kapalua, you weren't in a very good spot to begin with. So you can go research this for yourself at fantasynational.com, again, /Mayo. Get you everything you need to know. Usually you try to target the players that have played in the Hero World Challenge coming into this, that like mini event that Tiger puts on, but there wasn't anything this year. So you're just going to see a lot of players who haven't played since the Masters, to be perfectly honest with you. Maybe some people played the RSM, maybe some people played at Mayakoba, but I'm not going to put too much weight into recent results. That was over a month ago. Maybe if you really want to jump on it, but you can go back and look at the course history from each specific event. We'll go back and look at the strokes gained from the past 2 years as well. Last year, Justin Thomas won in the playoff, like I mentioned. You had Neiman show up for the first time at this event. He ended up coming in 5th. That's a really good finish. The best other 2 debutants, Morikawa and Lanto Griffin. Then he had like Munoz, Palmer. Palmer had played in it before. It's just been ages since he had played. The Todd Father, ditto for him. Kevin Na, ditto for him. They weren't actual first-timers, but you can see they finished towards the end of the field as well. In 2019, you had Xander and Justin Thomas. Gary Woodland is not in the tournament this year, so he was second that year to Xander Schauffele. Both put on great performances. But if we just look at strokes gained total over the past 5 years, Dustin, DJ, Xander, Rahm. Rahm's never finished worse than 10th in this event. It's pretty good. Patrick Reed, by and large, finishes inside the top 6, except for that one really random top 25 in 2015. He won this event. So always, typical type of players. Just go attacking with everything. So it's going to be harder to find sleepers in the tournament this year than we normally see. So how did they do it? Last year, Justin Thomas, as you can see, didn't even gain a full stroke putting, but his tee to green was very good, just behind Xander Schauffele, who lost strokes putting and lost in a playoff. Patrick Reed, I believe, I bet him last year and he lost, but I believe this was his championship putting event of the year. Yeah, 9.3 strokes gained on the greens. Hard to replicate 9.3 strokes gained on the greens every single week. So it's very interesting to see when it comes down to that regard. That's probably not going to happen again. The year before, 7.3 from Bryson was the best you were going to do. And that's back before we had beefy Bryson on the go. If we just go back to tee to green, Justin Thomas, Gary Woodland, Xander Schauffele, 1, 2, 3, and 4 were the top 4 finishers in tee to green. Although, Justin Thomas once again did not putt well at this event, but he did gain over 10 strokes on approach. That was more than 3 strokes better than the next closest. That was Webb Simpson here. DJ was good around the greens that year. So was Xander, but then you had Michael Kim and Kevin Tway, who didn't really factor into everything. And then off the tee, you had Rory, you had Bubba lost 11 strokes on the green. That's impressive. I probably bet that loser that week too. So there's a myriad ways that you can really go about this, but tee to green, especially off the tee and approach, are the two main cogs that you want to go with. So if we just go into the custom modeling, as you can see, I've had everything saved here on my right. I put a lean of 15% each on off the tee and approach opportunities gained, which I do think is a very critical stat this week. It measures the best chances you have at birdie. So it's a green or fringe under regulation from 20 feet and in to give yourself a legitimate birdie putt or eagle putt to actually score on these holes. A lot of people use birdie or betters gained. I like to use opportunities gained. It takes putting really out of the factor. Maybe you want to factor in putting because it does have a substantial influence here, but I just want the players who have the most opportunities to score at this course. Par 5s weighted in at 10%. Par 4s 300 to 400 yards 10%. Proximity 100 to 125 10%. And par 4s 10% just overall. So really doubling down on those. Like I said, you just want to push the par 3s here and do most of your scoring everywhere else. So let's jump back to my custom modeling. I have it over the past 50 rounds. Like I said, if you really want to jump into how everything works out, you can put on the Bermuda filter, you can put on the medium firmness filter. It's over 7,500 yards, over 7,400 yards. You can play into it like that, but it is a par 73. That's unusual for the PGA Tour. And you can go to like Velcro to average for green speed as well as they're on the slower end. You can turn all of those on for your mixed condition modeling. You can turn one of them on just to see what it ends up spitting out. And you can always fuck around with, you can go to all rounds. You can go to the past 2 years if you want to go by season. You can go to past 24 rounds and get a really micro view of it. But where this is the first tournament in over a month, and a lot of these players haven't played, they played once in the past 2 months, if that, then, we want to take sort of a larger view, a good baseline of who played well at the end of the year. You can even maximize the sample size of the past 100 rounds and look over the past year and a half to get a true baseline on a lot of this stuff. But just straight up by the modeling, Dustin Johnson, John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, Bryson DeChambeau, Daniel Hauserberger, Webb Simpson, Harris English, Patrick Cantlay, Tyrrell Hatton, who's not playing. So then it goes to Patrick Reed as number 10 here. It just, it tells you that the good players should play well here, and the good players generally do play well here. So I guess it's about finding that next level of player down. You got like the Kiz pops up. Adam Scott is playing for the first time in ages this early in the season. I'm actually it leads me to believe that he's taking this year more seriously than last year because we saw him very sparingly post-COVID break. We didn't even see him for the first time until Riviera a year ago when he won that event, but it looks like maybe he's worried about falling down in the world rankings just a little bit, so he's back here. Who's not good in this field? You got Leishman, Gay, Landry, Streb, Michael Thompson, Herman Atrix, who's not playing, Nick Taylor, Richie Warinsky. I totally forgot he won that Stableford event. What is that? Not the Barracuda. Is it the Barracuda? The one where we had the Schwab double and he ended up coming in third. Good week. Sink, Ortiz. Ortiz from a more micro view over like the past 6 events is probably looking a whole lot better. And even someone like Munoz, when you put him up against these very top end guys, not the best for what this tournament demands. Actually, this is just strokes gained total. What the fuck am I talking about here? It's probably going to be the same when I filter it by the actual modeling itself. Probably should have looked at that when I did it. So yeah, the actual rank: Dustin, JT, Rahm, Bryson, Morikawa, Webb, Finau, Hovland, Berger, Hatton, Rory, both not playing, and then Joaquin Niemann. Niemann's really interesting for this. I'll bet you he'll be discredited by the odds as well, just because I don't think that don't recall him having the best end of tournaments. Yeah, 44, 17th, 6th at the CJ Cup. 13th at the Shriners, 23rd. Yeah, not a great end of the year for him. But let's just go look at the wedge game just to see who's been popping in that regard. DJ, Adam Scott, Nah just drives the ball so poorly. It's going to be tough for him. But he can really heat it up with the putter. You'd think that he would play well at this tournament, but we've just never really seen it over time. I don't even know what his best finish at this tournament is, to be perfectly honest with you. Where is he? Tournament of Champions. What do we have that listed at here? Wampo. No, he didn't play it that year. Did he play at the beginning of 2020? I believe I said he did, so don't want to be made a liar of. Maybe he didn't. Let's see. Do we have it listed as TOC? We do. He did come 12th here in 2012 as he gained a stroke around the greens. Never good off the tee. Minus 7.7 is especially egregious for any sort of event off the tee. Bad with the irons, bad on the greens. I tend to like him better at places where you can putt faster. As we see, he does putt better on Bermuda, tends to play better at easy courses, so that should go into it. But he does have a really good wedge game. That is something to look out for. So if we're scanning the very bottom of the field, I probably wouldn't go with Brian Gay. Niemann, I'm kind of liking Niemann and Berger here because you're probably gonna have, especially on DraftKings, the want to build the stars and scrubs by taking Dustin Johnson and Justin Thomas, and even Colin Morikawa, who ends up ranking 5th here. Very good with his wedges, very good with his irons in general. 5th in opportunities gained, 3rd in approach, and he really hammers these short par 4s. We see it. Well, he's not the best off the tee going, 14th in this field over the past 50 rounds. We know on the shorter par 4s as evidence, both, and we saw it at Workday when he ended up winning on that short par 4 when he just stuck it. He missed the eagle putt, tapped it in for birdie. Then we saw it at the PGA Championship when he just blasted on Sunday that short par 4. Everyone was having problems. That's the one good thing when you're a super accurate player with your driver, with good length, but not like super duper length, and not the most accuracy, that when you have someone in that regard like Colin Morikawa, they can really take advantage of the shorter par 4s by going for it. It gives him a similar advantage on those holes as a Dustin Johnson, who's amazing just in general. That's why he's Dustin Johnson. He just won the Masters. He's an excellent player. What do we see from Nick Taylor? Good with his wedges. He is also a very good driver of the ball when he's going, but I feel like, not great with the irons, really. Now he had a nice little run through Workday and Memorial, and then at St. Jude, and then it really went off the rails for him. When he's at his best, he does do well ball striking wise. He's played well with John Deere over time. You might have to gamble on a few of these guys at cheaper prices just because we don't know. Cam Smith coming off the 2nd place finish at the Masters. We got Patty Reed, another good short. Who's the best of the short par 4s just overall? Kiz, Morikawa, Reed, Bryson. Very interested to see what Bryson does here. He actually has a win at the John Deere Classic, and obviously he's a much different player this time around than he was a year ago. And we know he can really ratchet up the putting when he gets on. It might be a nice spot for him to really rebound to begin the season here. But I mean, my guy Scotty Scheffler is probably where I'm going to end up going because I'm such a sucker. I wrote my 3 players to watch for this 3 players that will win you money this season on the PGA Tour. Spoiler alert for me, it's going to be Corey Connors, Scotty Scheffler, and Bubba Watson. So it looks like I'm going to lose a lot of money this year. But they're off the tee games and they're ball striking. The ball striking for Scheffler has not been excellent because the approach really struggled once he returned from COVID-19. But in 34 tournaments since joining the PGA Tour, basically on a full-time basis, he's gained strokes off the tee, I believe, in 31 of them. So if he can figure out, and it's not like he's a disaster around the greens. He's a disaster on the greens. Guy can't putt to save his life. But we've seen Corey Connors, when he has a middling week, Corey Connors isn't playing this week, and he just overall doesn't hit the ball quite as far, but he's more of a lighter version of Morikawa off the tee. Very good with his irons, can't chip or putt, but if you can just get a week where he hits a ton of greens in regulation and makes a few putts, his ball striking is so good that it can pull him through. The ask for someone like Scotty Scheffler is the driving is going to be really good. We've seen weeks where the irons are really good, but can you get that median week? His well above average where he gains like a stroke and a half putting on the greens. All of a sudden, you're looking at a potential winner when it comes down to it. If it's the windiest week of all, you might as well just gamble on Party Marty Laird because the guy loves the wind, but probably won't be ending up on any of my teams here. Par 5s, opportunities gained, and driving. Scotty Scheffler really fits that bill. So Niemann, Scheffler, maybe a gamble on Nick Taylor. Morikawa might be where I end up leaning as it comes through. Who's a disaster? Champ, it's funny because he tends to play shorter course as well. I don't know why that ends up being the case. Had a really nice Masters. Maybe he is turning himself around. Oh, I don't know why I went backwards on that one. Where is Champ? Wake up, Champ! How has he been doing to end the year with his irons? That'd be my one concern about Bryson, is we know he's not a great wedge player. So proximity-wise, good at the Zozo, but then you can just see a lot of negatives. More so towards the beginning. Very bad stretch. Just really played the Workday and Memorial when they are at Muirfield Village very poorly for Cameron Champ. But by and large, not one of the best wedge players going. Better off the tee. But maybe he can figure that part of his game out. Maybe that has really helped him a little bit. Like where you're going to see like a minus 60 in a round or a minus 15. You're not seeing a whole lot of like plus 80s, plus 50s per round, but you're seeing a lot of minus 34, minus 21. So he tends to hurt himself more than he helps himself in those areas. Let's see with Bryson how he's doing. He's figured out the wedges a little bit better. over the course of time. So maybe he's not as bad from that range as maybe it's just he takes so many shots from that range. Like we saw at Rocket Mortgage those weeks where it feels like, when you're 74 yards out, I guess that's not in this range, but like 111 yards out, that you should be sticking it. Like you expect Justin Thomas to hit it to 3 feet. And when you watch Bryson where he gets so many opportunities from that range that it just never turns out that way. But that's the way that I'm looking to kick this all off. We go super macro. Let's look at that past 24 rounds. So not super duper, but just shorten up the sample size, basically post-COVID. Dustin, Rom, DJ, Hatton not playing. Finau, Bryson, Rory not playing. Xander, Hideki. It could be a year for Hideki. What's Hideki's? I feel like Hideki had a nice run at this tournament, but then he hadn't won since 2017, so he wasn't into it. But let's see, 4th, 2nd, and 3rd for Decky. The Decky bot could end up being one of those guys, too, that could win people a lot of money this season. Was great tee to green last year, just never really happened for him. Not generally a player you want to take on Bermuda outside of Phoenix, but maybe on these slower greens that can help mitigate it just a little bit. But thank you. I'm so happy golf is back. We're doing golf and football full time until the Super Bowl ends, and we're just digging even more into golf, and then occasionally football as well as it goes along. So you can expect the first look videos. You can expect the betting show with Jeff and I on Mondays, on Tuesdays, the DraftKings picks and preview with the cavalcade of guests that I have from around the industry. I'm going to get Raza for this week, I think, if he has the time. And then on Wednesdays, after football ends, we're going to have the live chat for some of the bigger events. We'll have a majors preview this Thursday, Jeff and I, if you want some more content. And I released the video for One and Done Strategy. That's up on Mayo Media Network right now. I told you about the giveaways. Rate and review the audio podcast. Leave your Twitter handle or your email to get into that. And retweet the show around on social media after you subscribe to Mayo Media Network on YouTube. If you do both those, you're in the contest twice. Maybe you'll win both entries into the One and Done. If not, just spend the $100. You have five shots at this. You might want to secure your spot right now instead of waiting to win an entry where, frankly, it's probably going to be like a 1 in 500 chance that you end up winning. Just pay the $100. It's $3.50 per week for the course of the year to go into it. And you don't want to miss out. You don't want us to be talking about this in May and being like, damn it, I wish I would have played in the One and Done. So fantasygolfchampionships.com, link in the description. You can also find the link to fantasynational.com. Use fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off. And you can use all of these tools in any way you want. You think that I have the stupidest way of using them? You put them to better use. We've seen our members win millions of dollars over the past 3 years, and we're hoping to breach forward through that. Plus, we have more stats as of 2021, more tools, and more on the way if you want to go check that out. Smash a like on the way out. Give me your early lean in the description, and just have some fun with it. Golf is back, all right? I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!